So if we look at these disruptors and really look at the epicenter of customer experience and customer expectations and employee expectations, we can just zero in on one of these disruptors, mobile, and give you some data on how mobile will change how we get work done and really the impact on BPM. So I really enjoyed yesterday's session from the government panel on what's going on for mobile in government. But one thing that we didn't hear a lot about is how do processes need to change to actually take advantage of mobile, right? And so Forrester, the data we have, we're seeing where mobile spend today, and really starting in 2012, was mostly around app dev. So if you look at the light blue, mobile app development services, 1.6 billion spend last year, 600 million in mobile managed device services, so locking down devices, right? If you look at the 200 million, this is in an area we call mobile process reinvention. This is redesigning, reinventing business processes and optimizing them for mobile, okay? If we fast forward, it's really interesting. If we go to 2015, the investment that we see companies making in redesigning and reinventing processes eclipses mobile app dev. Why do you think that's the case? The biggest driver here is that processes underneath the mobile experience need to be adapted to be more task-oriented to actually focus and deliver on the experience that customers want. So that's a big piece we see in services spend. But this brings up new questions. So really, seeing BPM move into reinvention and really moving more into customer experience presents a whole host of new questions. And so if we look at the questions we normally deal with that we get asked, right? If we look at traditionally BPM being focused in the back office, there's a set of questions that we as process people, we're used to answering. So what are some of the questions that your CEO comes and asks you around BPM? He's like, don't ask me questions, man, it's too early. What is a classic BPM question that you might get from your stakeholders that you think BPM can solve, or they think BPM can solve? What's that? Faster response. Okay, what else? Reduce costs. So let's look at, these are questions that we're used to answering in the back office. How can we optimize operations, reduce costs, right? How should we respond to competitive threats? What best practices should we adopt? Right? These are pretty standard questions that BPM, we know it's designed to answer. But now, as we begin to move into more focus on experience and focus on these mobile opportunities, we're getting asked a completely different set of questions. So I see customers that are getting questions asked, definitely when they move more into the front office and focus on experience, what will our future customer look like, right? We don't really, I wasn't trained as a scientist, computer scientist, or a process professional to answer that question. So when an executive comes to me, if I'm a process pro and they ask me this, I'm like, how would I know, right? I can take some sort of guess, but I don't know. The other piece is, how do I find meaning in work? Going to the employee expectations. Increasingly, employees are saying, I'm not just coming to work to get a paycheck, right? I'm coming to work to find some level of meaning. And so I want to be able to engage and actually deliver results for clients. And then if we look at the CEO on this side, these are crazy questions. Which competitor should we partner with? Again, the BPM team, you guys are looking like, I don't get asked these questions. You're starting to get asked these questions and get pulled into these conversations. The challenge is, how do we answer these questions, right? What needs to happen to answer these questions? And so for me, as I started hearing these sort of questions from clients, I also heard clients saying, our business guys, the CMO and the CEO and the line managers, they're actually going out and talking to these design agencies. So light bulb went off in my head. Maybe I should go talk to design agencies and try to get smart on how do they answer these questions, right? And so one of the things that as we started looking at this research of how to answer these questions, we started looking at how are our customers, engaging in customer experience projects. How's BPM really getting involved in customer experience projects? And so what we found is, for the most part, when we asked this question, which of the following statements best describe the improvement over current state after applying BPM for customer experience? Essentially, we wanted to understand, if you're implementing customer experience and BPM is involved, what's the measurement? Did you get good results? When we asked this question, 56% said no answer, it's not measured. So basically, people don't really know how to measure the results of customer experience in the same way we measure productivity. We know how to measure productivity, we know how to measure efficiency, and here people were saying, really, we don't know how to answer, or we really aren't focused on customer experience. 35% indicated modest to good improvement, but less than 10%. When we look at efficiency metrics, how many of you measure for efficiency and productivity on your BPM initiative? This, all hands should go up. This is a trick question, right? Right? All hands should go up. The data we have, 65% of companies, and this is another data chart that's not up here, 65% of companies that focus on efficiency have 10% or better improvement, right? That's a big gap between what we're seeing in customer experience metrics versus productivity. But just to show you here, only 9% of companies that we looked at customer experience metrics, or that measured customer experience metrics, only 9% had strong to excellent improvement in the 10 to 25% range, right? So very small group of companies able to make customer experience work and make that shift for BPM. So it definitely raises this question again, how do we make this shift to have customer experience as a key part of BPM? How do we shift BPM into the front office and drive a different way, different approach?